Jerry Patterson is the third of our 4 interviews. David Dewhurst has not responded. We can only assume that he will not be our guest in the next segment. Jerry Patterson, thanks for the quick answers. I particularly appreciate when a candidate answers the question and then stops so that we can move on. I don't appreciate a filibuster because it's a bad interview, and you've not done that. Thank you for that. Let me ask you, Dan Patrick made the statement that he was disappointed in you for hiring a detective to find out about a man who claims he was an illegal alien, and he, along with others, worked for Dan Patrick. Why did you think it was important to do that?
Well, I'll tell you why. That information came from a very well-known elected Democrat in Harris County, and the Democrats know far more about this story than I do. And it's been bubbling around for about 6 to 8 months, and I finally said, I hear all this stuff. Let's find out what the facts are. The voters need to know the whole story. And what I now know is there are more shoes to fall. And, 30 years ago, that's a long time, and I have to tell you, it probably was a common practice. But, we have a gentleman running for office now that is his sole major issue, in which he, in the Houston Chronicle, said, I support open borders, and again said amnesty. And you can't allow those things to go unchallenged. So these will be an issue between now and November if Patrick is the nominee. We need to know the facts, and the Democrats know a lot more about it than I do, and there are more shoes to fall. And going back to the amnesty comment, what I'm going to do is I have the Fort Bend event on tape. I'm going to provide you the tape. And, you can play it for your listeners. But, what Dan says, you notice he fumbled around and said, I don't know if it's on tape. Well, it is on tape. We have it in Austin. I'm in Tyler right now. And I'm going to get you the tape. And accurate description of what I said is in the Houston Chronicle, this morning's article. And it has to do with military service as a method of obtaining legal status. And that's the answer I gave. I probably used the word amnesty by saying if you want to call giving legal status to those who serve in our armed forces amnesty, then, you can call it that. But, I have to tell you, I wore the uniform for 24 years, and I admired the Marines who served with me, and I don't care what their names were or where they came from.
Commissioner, you and I have argued over the last few weeks off air, and I will say on air what I told you off air, and that was if I could get comfortable with your views on immigration reform, I would have openly endorsed you. And as I've said off air, I will say it on air. Let's talk about those because those are important to me.
Please.
And then I'm going to save a few minutes because in fairness to your entire career, you have been so good on so many issues for so many years that I want to make sure that in fairness, your lifetime of work and your credibility is not bound up on one issue. But it is important to me.
It is.
I'm looking at an interview with you with Zahira Torres in the El Paso Times in February of last year. And you make a statement in there where you say, I am a supporter of the guest worker program. In about 45 seconds, what does that mean?
Well, that is in our Republican Party of Texas platform, which I support. I mean, it's just very clear. That platform plank for a guest worker program was adopted after about an hour and a half debate by an overwhelming majority of delegates, and they're not liberal Republicans. And my question to those who are as understandably upset about the 12 million illegal aliens is, what do you do with them? And if your answer is simply secure the borders first, then that is de facto amnesty until we do that. We have to do something with them. And, the Republican Party of Texas platform, which is my platform, says a guest worker program for those who want to work, pay taxes, send money home to their families in Mexico, and we round up, incarcerate, punish the coyotes, the narco traffickers, and the drug dealers, and do whatever we need to do with them. Here's my response in a nutshell. We got 12 million illegals. Would you rather have the Border Patrol chasing the guy that's washing dishes in the restaurant or chasing the bad guys? I'd have them chasing the bad guys first.
I agree with that. Jerry Patterson. But my problem is this. I actually think a guest worker program, as it used to exist in the 50s, is a good plan.
The Bracero program.
Yeah, the problem becomes, what do we do with people who came here illegally? Now, I'm going to go through the interview, and you say, we need to be realistic in that our immigration platform needs to consist of more than bumper sticker slogans such as build a fence. I mean, that's just horse, and you say the real word, I'll say crap. We need to be real and do something that's in our nation's best interest. We need to be able to segment them, you say, into those that work pay taxes, obey our laws, send money home to their family, and those who are criminal. But if we're going to say that if you come here and work hard, even though you broke our law to get here, aren't we necessarily going to reward the line breakers and induce more to come here?
You know, that's the big question. And we're not, the Republican Party Texas platform does not suggest that we do nothing with them. They will suffer a penalty, and that's in the platform plank. But the problem is we got 12 million. Does anyone believe that we can deport 12 million people? And I don't think anybody does. So we have to do something. And I have a fear of a federal government with enough police power to round up 12 million men, women, and children, adjudicate, incarcerate, and bus off. Because when that happens, we're going to have another federal police force similar to the outfit that brought us Fast and Furious on our hands. That scares me to death.
I will agree with that. Quickly, you have dismissed out of hand some statements about securing our border, as that can't be the only thing. What is your opinion on building a wall? What is your opinion on greater border security from the state level? Leave aside the federal.
First of all, this is all on my website at votepatterson.com. Select issues. I talk about the end of birthright citizenship. I talk about the end of bilingual ballots. Eliminate the magnet. But what we do is we try to say either or. It's both. We need to not later implement border security. We need to do it now. We need to end the magnets. We need to implement border security. We need to implement immigration reform, but not while we have a Democratic Senate, because they go together. We need to do all of it now, because if we just say we're not going to do anything until we implement border security, then nothing happens. As to offense, absolutely. But
that's all I need to know. Commissioner, you've had a lifetime of service that I have stood on the sidelines and applauded. You got a concealed handgun bill passed when nobody believed it could be done. Take a minute and a half and tell folks why to vote for Jerry Patterson.
You know, all of us politicians have to recognize that we're really not somebody. We're all just passing through, and at some point in the future, nobody will remember who the hell we are, but they will remember what we do or fail to do. And that's what I think is important. As the next lieutenant governor, I'm going to talk about immigration, fix immigration. Well, I'm not going to fix him. Border security. Immigration is a federal issue. We're going to talk about water, fix water. We're going to talk about education, transportation. We're going to do all those things. And it takes leadership to do that. I have evidenced the leadership throughout my history in the Marine Corps, in the Senate, and as land commissioner. And the other thing I will tell you is I'm going to be honest with you. And I will tell you also that there's probably something in my platform. And please go to votepatterson.com, select issues that you don't like or people don't like. But if you want a candidate that you can agree with 100% of the time, then you need to run. Jerry Patterson is a guy who will tell it like it is, and that story's not going to change. And I think that is important when you're choosing and attempting and planning on leading Texas and 31 egos in the Texas Senate. I'm not in this for politics, and I don't want the Texas of tomorrow to look like the California and Illinois of today, and I have to give credit. That's one of Todd Staples' lines, but it's a good one.
You know what? I didn't budget my time very well. You have another minute. Tell us why Ron Paul is supporting you.
Liberty. I'm one of those guys that believes that the Bill of Rights is a list of God-given, not government-given, constitutionally enumerated rights that we have by virtue of being born free men and free women. Ron Paul is the liberty guy. Tom Hawken is a guy that understands policy. The NRA A+ rating is an example of how I don't waffle, I don't bend. But Ron Paul, I don't agree with Ron Paul on everything, but I am very proud to have his endorsement, because Ron Paul represents something opposite from politics as usual. Jerry Patterson represents something that's opposite of politics as usual. And that's just, Ron Paul's the guy that tells you what to believe. Jerry Patterson's the guy that tells you what to believe.
Jerry Patterson, thanks for being our guest.
All right, thank you, Michael.
There you have it. In order, Dan Patrick, Todd Staples, Jerry Patterson.
The Michael Berry Show. This is The Michael Berry Show.